Hey everyone, Steven here, and welcome to my little library of horrors. Well, today was an exciting day for me. We had a really massive rainstorm today, which is actually still going. Yeah, we lost power for probably like 15, 20 minutes. Not a big deal, but yeah, it was pretty intense today. A lot of street closures and things like that. My kids got out of school early today from all the flooding and stuff like that. But harsh rain and high winds did not keep me from obtaining a very big treasure today. So, if you saw my last haul video, I picked up a huge lot of books that essentially started as a Facebook Marketplace posting for mystery novels. And when I had mentioned to the seller, hey, I collect horror, do you have any? She had messaged me back saying, oh, I just found this whole box full. So, after that, I was like, oh man, it's probably going to be, possibly years before I find anything like that ever again. And to my surprise, it was not even 48 hours later where I came across another listing on Facebook where, you know how sometimes when you look on Marketplace, there's multiple pictures, and sometimes like the not as good picture as the first one that you see and things like that. So that was kind of it for me, and I saw one copy of a book that I really wanted, and now that I'm thinking about it, that was not in my lot, and I'm pretty upset about that, but oh well, it is what it is. But anyway, yeah, when I switched over to the other picture, I was like, oh wow, 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 wow. And it was just this huge, just shelf full of horror books. And I was like, okay, definitely have to get that. So, yeah, messaged the seller. It was about a little over an hour drive and about 80 bucks later. So yeah, it was an expensive lot, but I mean, it's rare that I find a whole bunch of books that I actually need for my collection, and isn't just there because I want them. So yeah, it was a pretty sweet haul. I actually just kind of went through them when I got home, and there's a lot of really nice things in here. Um, but yeah, let's get to it. Most of these, at like 99% of these are book club editions, which doesn't necessarily bother me. I mean, the story's still good inside, so. But anyway, I'll start with the paperbacks that I got. The first one is called Green Girls by Michael Kimball. That right there. Never heard of the author or the book or anything like that, but don't know anything about it. But it was there. Red Dragon by Thomas Harris. Classic. Haven't read that one though. Although I did love Silence of the Lambs. Oh, and then this one, Sybil by Flora Rita Schreiber. I actually have another book that's heavily based on like a split personality kind of case. I think it was like the most famous case of it. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. What I would say is like the case of Billy something, but I could be totally wrong. I got it somewhere, but yeah, that was it for the paperbacks. Even though there was supposed to be a copy of Swan Song by Robert McCammon in there, which I'm super salty about, but I don't know. I don't know. I might just message the seller and be like, hey, if you ever come across any others, you could totally toss that in here, because I kind of wanted that. But anyway, on to the hardcovers. So the first one is called Unholy Morning by David Lippincott. And yeah, I kind of read the summary on this, and it sounds awesome. Let me just take a quick peek. Yep, it turns out that like a boy becomes a town undertaker who takes his job too seriously, and a lot of deaths start to surround him and stuff like that. So I'm wicked interested in starting that. That sounds great. Let's see. Next we have The Fan by Bob Randall. Again, never heard of the author, but looks pretty cool. Kind of reminds me of Obsession by Ramsey Campbell with the cover. Let's see. Next, this is labeled as a psychological thriller, but I mean, there that and horror aren't really that far apart. But anyway, this is Alter Ego by Patrick Watson. Guy kind of looks like the governor from The Walking Dead there. Alrighty, next up we have good old John Saul. Comes the Blind Fury. I remember one time at a Savers I found, I think, probably 20 of his books. I think somebody just completely traded in their collection of John Saul books, and I bought them all. So, still haven't read anything by him. I'm not really sure why, but mainly just because I think the only thing I really ever hear praise from him is Suffer the Children. But yeah, I mean, you figure with the guy's vast bibliography that he has, he's got to be at least kind of good. Let's see. Next is Cold Hand in Mine, Strange Stories by Robert Eichmann. Or Aikman, or whatever. I'll probably say a bunch of these wrong anyway, but it is what it is. Really love that old kind of sketchy style of cover. Really love that. Next is Painted Devils, Strange Stories by Robert Aikman. Again, another really cool, like, pencil drawing cover, which is pretty sweet. Really dig that. Next up, this is one of those ones where I saw that was in the post and I was like, okay, I know I need this a lot. In the Flesh by Clive Barker. Again, still have not read any of Clive's work, but I do plan on changing that next year. Excuse me. A buddy of mine in one of my Facebook groups has just started with Clive and has been burning through his stuff, so I'd be excited to check out some of his work next year. Alrighty, getting back to John Saul, we have Nathaniel. Pretty cool cover. Hey, next we got Mr. Kuntz and Watchers. Again, never read anything by Dean Koontz. I think that's just because of the whole running gag that he's like a knockoff Stephen King and stuff like that. But I've gotten some pretty good recommendations on my last video that I'm going to be checking out eventually. Let's see. This is an author I have recently been hearing a lot about. I didn't really know of her work beforehand, but a lot of people like her work, and I'm excited to add a couple to my collection. But this one is The Cradle Will Fall by Mary Higgins Clark. Oh, looks pretty cool. This next one is also by Mary Higgins Clark, and it is called Where Are the Children? And I love this cover. Really, really love this cover. Like, I love covers that, like, have this old style kind of country feel, and you know what exactly it reminds me of is The Auctioneer. See if I can get them both in there. If I back up a little, yeah. But yeah, kind of the same feel as The Auctioneer, so this is definitely something I'm excited to look into as well. As a matter of fact, I want to say this is the one that took place close to me. Yeah, they move across the country to Cape Cod, which I wasn't necessarily close. It was like an hour drive, and oof. That's like on a good day. Man, you try to go to Cape Cod during the summer, forget it. Yeah, I know there's another one around here that's like very close to me. But anyway, that one looks really good. I'm excited about that. Next up is called A Presence in an Empty Room by Velda Johnston. Pretty cool cover on that one as well, actually. I really like that one. I think this one claims to be similar to Thomas Tryon's The Other, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I don't think this is this one. Sorry, I kind of like gave a quick glance to a lot of these just to kind of give a look at what they were, and I'm kind of getting them all mixed up just because, yeah, obviously there's almost 70 books here, so. Next is called A Voice in the Night by Velda Johnston. There we go. So again, another author I've never really heard of, but I think what I really like about the book club editions is they're all like so thin that I feel like I could end up getting through them pretty quickly. But we'll see when the time comes for that, I suppose. This was another one that when I saw, I was like, I didn't know it was in there until I had gotten into the bin. So, but it is by John G. Jones, and it is the Amityville Horror 2. I actually have the paperback of this, so pretty psyched to own at least a hardcover edition of it as well. I read the original Amityville Horror probably, I want to say, maybe even 5 years ago. I didn't hate it. There's a couple things in there where, it's trying to convince you of being a true story, but, I mean, it just feels a little... There's some stuff in there where it's just like, but that's a different story for a different day. Anyway, this next one seemed really interesting, like mainly from the cover and the title, but when I read the inside, I was like, okay, this definitely seems pretty interesting. And this is called The Snake by John Godey. Once again, never heard of him, but apparently, like, it's a story about like this huge, a black mamba ends up getting loose inside the underbrush of New York, Central Park. So, yeah, it sounds pretty cool. And neat little detail on the inside here, which looks to be like a map of Central Park in New York. I'm not really sure. Major crowds give me very, very big panic attacks. So, as beautiful and exciting as New York looks, I like to admire it from afar. As close as I am to it as well, but it's, I always think of that joke from Futurama where it says, oh, nobody drove in New York, there was too much traffic. It's like, oh man, how true is that? Next, we have Legion by William Peter Blatty. Yeah, I do have the paperback copy, and The Exorcist is by far one of the best books I've ever read. It was one of the few books to actually ever scare me. So, yeah, I do plan on getting to Legion eventually down the road. Alrighty, next is a double for me, and that is The Island by Peter Benchley. Only ever read Jaws by Benchley, but I do plan on changing that as well because I do like his writing style. I think he's got a very nice writing style, and Open Water terrifies me, so I'm sure there's nobody better to do it than him as far as that's concerned. But this is the one I was thinking about when I was thinking of Thomas Tryon's. What was it? The Others. And this is The Mirror by Marlis Milheiser. Oh my god, I butchered the hell out of that. But, yeah, I read the inside blurb, but it's apparently similar to Thomas Tryon's The Others. So, pretty excited about that. Let's see. Next, again, we have Mr. Kuntz with Darkfall. And, I kind of like this cover, to be totally honest. It's pretty simple. I like the font. Yeah, I've always been someone that says, sometimes simple is better, for sure. And as simplistic as it is, I don't know. I kind of like it. And it's not like a red cover either. It's definitely like a hot pink, which is absolutely something you don't ever see. So, I'm excited about that. This was another one I was really excited to get my hands on because the paperback's extremely hard to find, so I hope to maybe one day own that, but I'll settle for the book club edition for now. And that is Magic by William Goldman. Haven't seen the movie, but I do have a friend who is a major horror movie buff that loves the movie, so I'm sure the book is just as good. Hopefully, anyway. This next one also sounded really good, and it's called The Lotteries by Dayoma Winston. pretty cool. Very Agatha Christie-ish. But, so this next book is one that I have never heard of the author or anything like that. But when I started reading the inside cover, I was like, okay, I think this may be the first book I read next year, because the premise is... I'll read it to you. Let me see. So it says, Paul Conway is a 13-year-old mathematical and scientific genius. Teased mercilessly by his classmates and nicknamed Piggy, his only friend is a robot he built for himself and named BB. When he and his recently divorced mother move to Welling, Pennsylvania, the process of trying to find new friends starts all over again. Piggy latches onto another outcast, the Undertaker's son, and thinks he's found a first love with the lonely little girl next door named Sam. The three become fast friends, but their peaceful little circle is shattered Halloween night by Sam's hard-drinking, violent father. On a drunken rampage, he destroys BB the robot and, a few days later, kills his own daughter. Piggy is utterly devastated by the loss of his two closest friends. Obsessed with longing for Sam, he goes one step too far. He decides to bring her back to life, implanting BB's salvaged computer into her skull. But what Piggy does in the name of love is create a monster, an instrument of bloody revenge that he cannot control. And that book is called Friend by Diana Heinstell. That sounds insanely awesome. Like, matter of fact, the book I'm reading right now is Frankenstein for the first time. So, this just sounds like a super cool, like, almost retelling of Frankenstein in a way. I don't know. I'm really excited to get to this. Like, that was like one of my favorite things probably out of the lot, is like finding popular and common books that I want for my collection, but finding books I didn't know that have me excited like this to read them. Like, I've never heard of this or anything, so I'm really, really excited to get to that. Next we have The Whipping Boy by Beth Holmes. Now, I actually have the paperback for this, which I found a couple months ago. I've never heard of it. The cover was weird. I don't know if it's near me by any chance. I don't think it is on the shelf behind me. I think I have it on my other shelves over there, but I'll eventually do a library tour. I'm saving that for like a 1,000 subscriber special, if by some insane miracle 1,000 people give enough crap to listen to what I have to say. I want to save it for that, but anyway, yeah, so finding the hardcover of this was really kind of odd for me. Like I said, when I stumbled onto the paperback a couple months ago, it was like, oh, that's weird. I've never heard of this, never heard of the author or anything, so finding the hardcover was pretty sweet. Plus, my paperback cover, I think, is starting to fall apart a little, so I'm happy to have that to read if I ever want to. This one totally blew my mind because my family and I love the movies. I'm actually familiar with the author. Like, I have quite a few of her books, so it was the title that was just kind of like, huh, okay. But the next book is Hotel Transylvania by Chelsea Quinn Yarbrough. Yeah, had no clue this was a book, and as far as I can tell, that's not Adam Sandler on the front. But unless he's in that, from that god-awful twin sister movie he did. Ugh. But anyway, yeah, I had no idea this was even a thing. And like I said, me and my family love the movies, so I'm kind of excited to get to it. I know it says it's more of possibly a romance novel, but I mean, hey, I think people are too harsh on romance novels. Like, I get it. We've all been jaded in love at one point in our life, and we don't really want to sit there and read about other people experiencing it and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I think, people just don't give it enough of a chance, I guess. But anyway, on to the next one. And that would be The Piercing by John Coyne. I actually have a little bit of his work in my library. I think he did The Legacy, if I'm not mistaken, which I do have the paperback copy of. But yeah, I've seen this online a couple of times, so I'm glad I didn't buy the paperback yet. Now I have it in hardcover. This one I've also seen a lot online and is also by John Coyne, and that is The Searing. Very similar to the paperback copy, cover-wise at least. But yeah. Let's see. Oh, this next one I totally freaked when I got because I have the audiobook, and I always recommend this when people are looking for like really good possession stories that isn't The Exorcist. So when this popped up, I was just like, oh, no way. So yeah, so that book is The Entity by Frank D. Felitta. Yeah, like I said, I am over the moon about having a copy of this. Finally. Finally. Still would like the paperback, but just to finally own a physical copy of this just feels so freaking good. And like I said, just seeing this in the collection just randomly pop up, I was like, oh, yes. But, yes, highly, highly, highly recommend checking this out if you're looking for a book about possession or demonic entities and stuff like that. Super good. Super, super good. Let's see. Next, this one has a very interesting cover that even the title too, like definitely made me look it up. And this is called Plowing Up a Snake by Merle Drown. Let's see, and it's got a really nice cover. Again, very reminiscent of The Auctioneer for me. But like, again, these kind of covers are my favorite because like I said, it leaves a lot to the imagination. And I don't think anybody can scare me more than myself, to be totally honest. So I really just enjoy subtle little things like this. I think that's really, really good. Let's see. This one, the person I bought it from actually told me is a true case from my state of Vermont. And this is called Deceit by Diane Sheehan Shovac. Never heard of the case or anything, but I mean, you know, I'm all about, I love a good nonfiction. Oh, look at that. It's even autographed, too. Cool. Didn't know that. But yeah, I mean, I love really cool nonfiction, almost folklore kind of tales. But, yeah. Pretty psyched about that. Let's see. This next one is called The Homing by Jeffrey Campbell. Love that cover. And it's apparently small town horror, which, again, is one of my top 3 subgenres of horror. So, definitely planning on getting to this sooner rather than later. Alright, let's see. This next one was pretty excited. You know, I will never ever pass up one of his books when I see them. So, and that is The Parasite by Ramsey Campbell. Have a ton of his work. And his covers are always really nice, too. Let's see. Next up we have The Sins of Rachel Ellis by Philip Cavany. Never heard of this or the author. Pretty cool cover, though. I like how they implemented the title of the book into the artwork. I think that's pretty nice. Let's see. Next we have The Wanting by Campbell Black. Looks pretty cool. Definitely a pretty neat cover. Kind of reminds me of Lizzie Borden, which, fun fact, I lived about 30 minutes from her house. And my mom used to live down the street from her. So, yeah, pretty cool. They turned her house into a bed and breakfast now, actually. Because it was a tourist attraction for a while, and then I think it just stopped making money, and then they turned it into a bed and breakfast, which apparently people claim you can still hear things at night and stuff like that, but I unfortunately never went. Next is one I've seen from Paperbacks of Hell. Yeah. Paperbacks from Hell. And the cover always really stuck out to me because it was like full, like, art, I guess, if I could make... I'll just show it to you. It's called Effigies by William K. Wells. And yeah, this was just a cover that really stuck out to me when I was reading Paperbacks from Hell. And I believe it's actually like a full thing here. Yeah, get that. Pretty cool, actually. It gives it almost like a 3D effect. Kind of looking like handsome Squidward there. Anyway. Next we have Brainchild by John Saul, which I do absolutely have the paperback of. Okay. Let's see. Next is called Closing Time by Lacey Fosberg. Looks to be a true crime kind of book, which I love. I love true crime, so not going to complain there. Next is called The Deep End by Joy Fielding. Cool little cover there. Oh, this is another one I saw in the picture, and I was like, yep, definitely need to get that. Even though I think I have the paperback, as a matter of fact, but all my paperbacks from Hell are up there, so I don't feel like digging those out right now. But anyway, this one is a novel by Laird Koenig, and it's called The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. Yeah, this has always been a unique book to me because it's like, you know, you don't often see horror books with really long titles. So, and plus I just really like the cover. I think it's very ominous. Almost sort of like Poltergeist. I think it was the second one. This one I was also very excited to get when I saw, and that is The Wolfid by Whitley Strieber. Yeah, I've been really filling in my Whitley collection lately, and I'm really happy about that. So, there's that. Although I've heard his writing decreased after, I think it was Communion that he wrote, after, you know, people said he went crazy after apparently being abducted by aliens and stuff like that, but who knows. Next up we have The Glow by Brooks Stanwood. Let's see. Yep. Again, pretty neat cover. Like I said, very simple. I like that it's all white too. Again, not very much something you see very often in horror literature. But yeah. Let's see. Next up is The Fifth Child by Doris Lessing. And I almost feel like I have the paperback copy of this. The title seems extremely familiar to me. I can't quite pinpoint it, though. Let's see. Next up, we have The Beast Within by Edward Levi. Or Levy, whatever you want to say. Fairly simple cover. A little on the boring side, if I'm going to be honest. You know, red text on black background. Typical. But next up, we have The Stone Bull by Phyllis A. Whitney. Looks pretty cool, actually. Not sure what it's about. Let's take a look. Seems okay. Let's see. Next up is Serpentine by Thomas Thompson. This is definitely, I think, the biggest book out of the bunch. At least I think it is. That's a pretty big boy for a book club edition. But yeah, the woman I bought this from said she had collected these all over the years. So these have all only had one owner. Which I love. I always love picking up somebody else's library that they're getting rid of, and, you know, just letting them know, you know, they're finding a good home. They're going to a really good home. Next up is called The House Next Door by Anne Rivers Siddons. Love the cover. Kind of looks like that. Looks similar to the other book that I just showed. Yes, here it is, actually. It's only two. There we go. Pretty similar. Next we have Gemini by Domini Taylor. Lots of covers with houses on them, which, like I said, are some of my favorites, so I'm certainly not going to complain. Let's see. Next up we have Sweetheart, Sweetheart by Bernard Taylor. Weird cover. Not gonna lie. Definitely weird. Let's see. Next is another one I was very excited to have. Because I don't own the paperback copy. Still hunting for one, but it is 666 by Jay Anson. I love that cover. That cover is so cool. Let's see. Next up we have Kiss Daddy Goodbye by Thomas Altman. Or Altman, I should say, actually. Altman, yes. Thomas Altman. Definitely an odd title. Odd cover. Yeah. I feel like I've seen this before, as a matter of fact. I think I saw it on Mercari one time. And just never bought it. It didn't really seem to interest me all that much. But, hey. Now I won't have to wonder. Next up is a classic, instant classic, should be taught in every school in America. Should go down as probably one of the best books ever written, ever. I'm talking, of course, Boy's Life by Robert McCammon. I actually already own a copy. Multiple paperback copies and a hardcover copy already. Yep, this is a first print, first edition. So, yeah. You know, definitely happy to have another one. But yeah, if you've never read this, regardless of your favorite genre, do yourself a favor and read Boy's Life. You will not regret it. This next one I was actually very, very surprised to come across and was not expecting it at all. So, psyched to have it. And that is, bam, Dawn of the Dead by George A. Romero and Susanna Sparrow. Yeah, super cool about that one. Did not know that was in there at all. So when I saw the title, I was like, oh, cool. No autograph on this one, unfortunately. That would have been great. Let's see, next up we have Second Sight by Cecilia Bartholomew. Pretty cool cover. Reminds me of like an 80s movie cover, to be honest. Almost like something like Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something. Pretty cool, though. Next we have The Lizard's Tale by Mark Brandel. Digging the cover, that's for sure. That's really neat. Let's see. Next we have Rear View Mirror by Caroline B. Cooney. And then we have Nightfall by John Farris. Sick cover. Very, very nice cover. I really want to try and get that in focus here. There we go. There we go. But yeah, definitely a pretty cool cover. Little on the darker side, but I suppose they are in a swamp, so not much light going on in there. Let's see. This next one is called The Son of the Endless Night by John Farris, with a blurb from Stephen King and Peter Straub. So, yeah, I would expect very good things from this, given the two names on the front praising it. So, yeah, I will definitely have to check that one out. Next up, we have The Haunting of Gads Hall by Nora... it's Gads Hall and The Haunting of Gads Hall by Nora Lofts. So it's a double header there. It's pretty cool. Did not see that. This one's also got like a neat little... Not as cool as the other one, but I feel like a lot of like books really need to go back to full art covers, front and back. Like, now I know a lot of discussion goes on about how, I guess, bland covers in today's market is, and I agree. I can definitely agree. I mean, there's definitely some good ones, but I know it's you know expensive to have a hand painted painting for your book, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of the passion has gone out of making the cover for the book, and that just kind of sucks, honestly. But anyway, that's another video for another time. But next up we have Little Sister by Patricia J. McDonald. Very odd. Cover makes me feel a little weird with the, the image and the title, but I don't know. Next up was pretty cool to see. I actually have the paperback copy, and that is The Unborn by David Shobin. So pretty cool to see that. Same cover as the paperback. Let's see. Alrighty. Next up, we have Night Waking by Kathleen Snow. And I really love this cover. That's definitely an unsettling image. I really like that. Alrighty, next up is another Paperbacks from Hell that I actually own the paperback too, thankfully, and it has really nice step back art. And that is Lupe by Gene Thompson. Very different cover. Still cool though, I do like it. Yeah, and I looked through most of them just to see if I could find a signature on anything, and of course I missed one, so. The next one was a very pleasant surprise for me because as much work as I own of this author, I don't have a lot of his work in hardcover, so I'm very excited to add this to the collection. And that is Stinger by Robert McCammon. Super psyched to add this to the collection. I loved Stinger. If you liked Under the Dome by Stephen King, absolutely check out Stinger. I personally liked it better. Whether it's a better book is a debate. I personally feel that McCammon did it better myself. But regardless, I'm very excited to have this in my collection. Yeah. Next up is Harvest Home by Thomas Tryon. This is also a double for me, so. But still, I am planning on reading him this year as well. I'm planning on reading the other, or maybe even possibly Harvest Home, actually. I've heard really good things about this one, but either way, I'm definitely planning on getting to his work this year. And last but certainly not least, this kind of took me by surprise. It's a book I've been wanting for a really long time now, and I knew it was part of the lot. But I guess what took me by surprise was the cover art, and apparently it's on the rare side as well. More so rare than the actual paperback, which is in itself a rare case when it comes to book club editions. But yeah, I'm honestly really thrilled to finally own a copy. And I'm talking, of course, about Alien by Alan Dean Foster. And yeah, this cover art is simply stunning. Absolutely beautiful. I'll get a real good close-up of that. Yeah, that cover art is just simply gorgeous. But yeah. And that's it, everyone. So that was out of the total of 80 books of the lot, 67 were horror. So yeah, I'm gonna call that a massive win. I'm definitely gonna call that a really big win. Um, like I said, I was not expecting to find anything else this year, especially not in this caliber. Like, I really was not expecting to find anything like this for possibly years to come, because it's horror is just really hard to find locally, or like just out in the wild in general. Like, it always seems to be the smallest section in any used bookstore. It's very rarely ever come up on a Facebook Marketplace ad or anything like that. So to have stumbled upon, geez, almost 140 horror titles in the span of a month, is just kind of mind blowing, honestly. But I'm so thankful. And yeah, this is just what makes the hobby fun for me. It's a lot of fun stumbling onto random lots and digging through and seeing the surprises that hide within, and discovering new authors and books that I have never heard of that have me excited to get to them, and possibly adding even more to my collection. Um, yeah, like I say, as convenient as online shopping is, and it's great to be able to fill in certain gaps in your collection that way. Have patience. Have patience. It's. I think people take a lot of time. I think people take more time in looking for the next thing rather than relishing what they just obtained. Um, I know it's nice to have that feeling of I finally have it, but when it's delivered right to your front door, how long does that feeling really last? Um, when you look at it on your shelf, where's the memory connected to that? Where you can look back and say, "Oh man, I remember digging in this bin and seeing the cover pop out at me here," or you're wandering down the aisles of a bookstore and the spine just happens to catch your attention and you pull it off the shelf and you're reading it and it's this new discovery for you. It's something you weren't expecting. Um, but yeah, like I said, if you're into collecting horror books or just collecting in general, go for the thrill of the hunt and appreciate what you have now because more finds are always going to come. But anyway, that's going to be it for me today, guys. I really appreciate everybody watching, sitting here listening to me ramble for 45 minutes. Um, I'm really excited to have come across this lot and just add a lot of really wonderful titles to my library. Um, Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a lot of organizing to do. And my next video to plan, which will more than likely be, I'm planning on doing, I think, my final book review of the year, and then it's going to be my 2023 year in wrap up. But yeah, so that's going to be it for me, and I really hope to see you guys in the next video. Thank you, everyone. Bye.